Proverbs 23 verses 1 through 3 says, "When thou sittest to eat with a ruler, consider diligently what is before thee, and put a knife to thy throat. If thou be a man given to appetite, be not desirous of his dainties, for they are deceitful meat." There's nothing wrong with enjoying good food, and there's nothing wrong with the things we enjoy. The problem comes with making things our focus, when our life just becomes about enjoying the things. The biblical way to live is to work hard, make an honest living, and enjoy the fruits of our labor in a moderate and charitable way. 1 Thessalonians 4:11 and 12 says, "And that ye study to be quiet, and to do your own business, and to work with your own hands, as we commanded you, that ye may walk honestly toward them that are without, and that ye may have lack of nothing." It hasn't been possible for some Christians to settle in and earn a living with a nice, stable home over the centuries, but the mass majority of Christians do have that opportunity, especially today here in the United States of America. And the Apostle Paul encourages believers to do just that. That isn't a man given to appetite, but a man whose appetite is easily pleased by the simple good things in life. And much of the time, a man given to appetite will be driven to go beyond what he has or what he's earned. That leads a man to not being satisfied with his wife and getting into pornography and eventually adultery and worse. It leads people into the sins of theft, embezzlement, and other acts of treachery. And sadly, that describes most people in reality. That's why the description of modern culture and society is in the saying, it's a dog-eat-dog world. Too many Christians get caught up in this dog-eat-dog mentality and find themselves caught up in the materialistic attitude and agenda of the unsaved, unbelieving world. And when that happens, they are given to appetite. In other words, they lose their focus on serving Christ and spend their time serving that appetite that they're given over to. And that's why daily Bible reading, prayer, and Bible memorization are also important. God's Word reminds us of God's purpose for our lives and keeps our appetite in check. In 1 Timothy 6 through 8, Paul was moved to write these inspired words, "But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. And having food and raiment, let us be therewith content." Think of how utterly foolish and absurd men and women were to spend what little time they had on this earth feeding those appetites and living for the moments. And then the moment they died, they lift up their eyes, having died without Jesus Christ, and find themselves in the torments of hell. But many, if not most, professing Christians are given over to similar foolishness, and they'll be ashamed at the judgment, saved, but with nothing of importance to show for their lives. Again, Paul describes this reality at the judgment seat of Christ, where Christians will be judged after this life is over in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 13 through 15. "Every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire, and the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is. If any man's work abide which he hath built thereupon, he shall receive a reward. If any man's work shall be burned, he shall suffer loss, but he himself shall be saved, yet so as by fire." That's not how I want to stand before the Lord at the judgment. Christians who are saved so as by fire, they'll be glad to be saved and not in hell, but they're going to be ashamed of themselves for the way they wasted this life. They're given over to appetite instead of living a life for the glory and praise of Jesus Christ alone. And that's something we ought to think about and we ought to pray about often concerning our own lives. We can't fix everybody else, but we can do something about the person we see in the mirror. This is it. This short life and then the judgment. So make the most of it.